Hi, welcome to De-stressing with art. Specifically tonight, we'll be distressing with drawing. And this is a very busy time at Fairfield University. It's a stressful time for some, taking exams and studying. So the purpose of today's workshop or activities is really to take a moment to pause and give yourself permission to relax and decompress, zone out, and doodle. This is a doodling, creating your own doodle coloring page. There are so many adult coloring books now with intricate patterns to color in. And today is taking doodling and coloring and combining them together in an activity that you can't really mess up. And it gives you a chance just to slow down. So I hope you'll enjoy the activity. I'm going to tip my camera down so you can see the materials I have here and the setup I have going on. Tip all the way down. I have simple Sharpie markers. I also have everyday pens, if that's all you have with you right now. I have a variety of color pencils. I'll move my camera over here so you can see. I arrange them by color. I also have a stack of just regular copy paper. You can use whatever paper you have. And I have some coloring pages that I have already started. I'm going to bring my camera back around and I'll focus on one of them, but they all have one thing in common. They are repetitive drawing of lines and shapes. So you really can't make a mistake in these drawings. As you can see here, I have trapezoids, triangles, rectangles, squares, just layered on top of each other. I spent a little bit of time yesterday when I was taking a break from work I was doing or should have been doing, and I relaxed by just doing the repetitive drawing over and over. Here's a totally different option. I traced the bottom of a cup and then I filled in the spaces in between the circles with some simple lines. And then I've just been making circles, small circles, tiny circles, just a variety of different sizes. Again, repetitive, relaxing, kind of mindless activities when your brain needs a break. Here again, I was inspired by a flower, the center of a flower, and then I kind of just started creating patterns and shapes, just branching out from that, just using my imagination and repeating the same pattern again down here. And this one, another play on shapes, triangles, trapezoids, just repetitive, relaxing. I think I'll go with this. I'll go with this one today. Well, I'll keep working on this one. I take my pen and I just kind of keep building. Now, these are great activities to do when you have a couple minutes. You can start them and stop them whenever you have time. You can build on them. It's like doodling, but on a larger scale, filling up an entire page and then coloring it as well. And I'll get to the coloring in a little bit. And that's why I have pens. I also have a pencil, and you can use colored markers in addition to the color pencils I have here. It really is, you can do this without fancy art materials, with whatever you have around. And the purpose is really just to slow down. You can't really make a mistake because you can just build on it. Make a big shape and then a little one. There's no set agenda. Most people do this already, maybe in the margin of their notes, or when you're on the phone, or your mind is wandering. And it helps me focus actually when I'm listening to something. If I'm quietly doodling, it might seem like I'm distracted, but it actually helps me focus sometimes to have a little drawing going on while I'm listening to something. So I'm just building on this. And it might be an activity that you start, like I have here with all of these other little options that I do for a little while and then eventually fill up the entire page and then start coloring them. Or I might do a little bit and then start coloring and go back and finish the rest of the drawing part. It's a nice alternative to buying a coloring book too, to just create your own coloring pages. And believe it or not, when you finish one of these with color, without color, if you decide to use just pencil or ballpoint pens even, they can turn out to be something you might even want to frame because they turn into such a fun pattern. So I've done a little bit more and you can just see how straightforward and easy it is. Just making shapes. Not using a ruler. If I mess up or don't like the way it looks, I just keep going and it kind of gets absorbed into the pattern and it looks like it belonged there the whole time. Now I'm going to add color. So the ones that I've started the color, I have picked a color family. Here there's some red, some light pink, a pinkish purple, an orangey pink, peach, and I've just layered them. Also shading them. It's also a repetitive, mindless way to pass some time. So I think I have pink here. I did one with some blue. I think I'll do a green family option. You see that I'm using regular, not fancy art, color pencils. I have some erasable color pencils, some regular color pencils. I kind of just grabbed from all over my house. And I'm going to start coloring. I'll start in one corner with one of the greens. And then I might choose this one. It's more like a blue-green, mintier color. And I start layering over. Start that one in the opposite corner. It's kind of something relaxing and satisfying about coloring in the lines, filling space. Blending. So I started some of these yesterday, and then I tucked them into my folder for work today, and I brought them to work. And while I was doing some other work and listening to something, I was coloring in some of the drawings I made. They're portable, they're easy. You can shove them in with whatever you're studying in your folder, in your backpack, purse. And it's just a nice way to zone out when there's a lot going on. Going just in directions and blending. You can also, rather than color the whole area in, just some cross hatching, thin, tiny lines. I don't know if my camera is, I'll break the tip of my pencil to do it. Make some lines. And then go the opposite direction. Maybe even with another color. So how you fill in these spaces is up to you. You also may choose not to do one color family. I find it really relaxing because if you pick one color family, you don't really have to even think about what your next choice will be. All 4 of these work very nicely with each other, or you can pick a color that's, let's see, like a blue with it. Colors that you know are going to work together no matter what, so you can't make a mistake. Something nice about not having to think about your next move. You can just enjoy the process of filling it in. You don't need a lot of drawing experience or much drawing experience other than coloring in or drawing lines to do any of these activities. But the final result is pretty impressive. It looks really good. Maybe I'll grab a yellow and blue. Need greens, though. They'll work well together with the greens, mixed and blended. I'll start with blue on this one. Different shade of blue. And layer some green on top of the whole thing. So that's one. Hold on, tip it up. My camera's right there. You can see where I blended, made lines. You can go back over. I also could go over with Sharpie if I wanted to create a pattern on top of this. So then I've colored, maybe if I want to add more detail, do a little more doodling, making some lines, cross against them, cross hatch over. I'll do just some straight lines up here. And some more over here. Do cross hatch on this one. So I'm just layering my lines. Also, just go back to this one for a little bit. Here I was just repeating, making circles. There's another circle there. You really cannot make a mistake. There's no right or wrong. Say I did make a mistake and I did something like that and I didn't want that, well then I could just fill that in. You can also color in some of these completely black with my marker. If I didn't have color pencils, I had a bunch of different regular pencils and ballpoint pens, I could fill in just basic blue, black. Now this would take me quite a bit of time to finish if I sat down and did it all at once. But sometimes you only really need a little break. And you can save it again for later. Here I have blue, black, and where'd my pencil go? Here it is. I can just use my pencil as another option for coloring in. I don't really have a plan other than I've decided that I've pretty much committed to circles. Maybe I'll fill some of these completely in. Just cross-hatching, drawing different lines in the bigger circles here, rather than filling them all the way in. I'm focused on that. Now, if you fill this whole page up, the same pattern, in the end, it will be a pretty impressive page. Or this circle. Some yellows. Well, there's the yellow options here. So mix the colors. Could also fill in an area, bigger area. Mix this one. Okay. So the best part about making these coloring pages is that you can kind of decide as you go. And there's really no right or wrong way to do it. Moving on to grab my Sharpie and add a couple more on top of where I just colored. And we're just look at this one, because this one, just a random shape that I started with and then started building on top of that. You could use words, you could use your initials. It's really just the repetition of a shape or a pattern, filling up a page, and then coloring. Created the shape. I'm filling in with other shapes. There's some shapes here that have names, like a triangle, and then there are shapes that I've just made up to fill in spaces, kind of like a little tile in a mosaic to fill in the shape. I obviously find this very relaxing because I'm continuing on here. This circle around, or blob like form around it. I had broken up each of these sections, lines, and then I filled in each of these sections. Rings. So it's really just the repetition of shapes. Repeating and filling up an entire page with shapes and color. Tip my camera up. I could keep going, but I'm going to give you a chance to work on yours when you have time and finish as you go along. Thank you for joining me for de-stressing with this drawing doodling exercise. I hope you feel a little more relaxed and had a nice chance to take a break from studying or whatever was going on in your life today. Thank you.